I don't feel like eSuba have the tools to punish that.
Well. Is it gonna be the Czech powerhouse or the Korean Gragas? That's gonna be the big question. Supermassive looking to close this series out 2-0. We are on to the Rift for Game 2. Two teams go in, one team comes out, and it might just be the third team for Turkey heading to the main stage of the EMEA Masters. One way or another, 5-point defense, nothing interesting happening in the early, so... NFR, what do you want to talk about?
I mean...
What's your favorite food? That's a good topic, I think. Yeah, what's your favorite dish?
Completely... okay, what's my favorite dish? I really like... just regular spaghetti and meatballs. It's just very simple, and it's just never wrong. Like, wherever you eat spaghetti and meatballs, it's good. It doesn't matter where. So it's just that dish where it's just, you can't get it wrong. So I feel like that's my favorite dish, just because I've had it in multiple places, and it's just always solidly good.
Okay, so I live in Berlin, and... For me personally, if Berlin is famous for something, it's a good döner. So I'm very impartial for that. It's in my top 5. It's not the most favorite ever, but it's a really damn good one. Just like this series. And kicking things off, we got both junglers starting on the top side of things. This looks like bot lane focus all the way.
Yeah, it does. I mean, both bot lanes are volatile, despite them not being able to probably interact in a vacuum on a 2v2. They are very volatile. One kill for the Jinx or one kill for the Zeri can change this matchup completely, and they both brought calls, so it's not like they actually want to make things happen on their own. They do want to accelerate, they want to be ahead of the curve, and the junglers can provide for that. Again, the Maokai is a bit easier to execute in that regard. He has the point-and-click route, but Holy Phoenix is also ready for that. He has a cleanse. Farfetch brings the heal. They know they are going to be the focal point of eSuba's early game plan, and they're playing defensively accordingly.
So, first we need to see what Haru is up to here, because we've seen shenanigans like that in game 1 go down already. But I want to bring up that whenever I see double cull lanes, those are by far the bloodiest early game 2v2s in the bot lane that I've ever seen.
Really? Okay. I guess that's a pattern. I don't usually notice too much these calls because, again, it's not like they're much worse than Adorn's Blade, and especially if both sides bring it, it's not like you're gonna have an advantage over the other side. What this does tell us, besides, obviously, both AD carries planning on not interacting with the other, doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, is that both AD carries want to be online as soon as possible. So mid-game team fights, they're going to probably be at 2 items already, and the cult just has a lot more value ever since you can build Infinity Edge at 40% crit, which means you're already going to be strong earlier, might as well get there faster.
Yep. So we'll definitely watch out for this mid-game. What we also need to watch out more for are the junglers, and here there is a stark difference in clear paths, because Tinks went for a full clear, and now is looking for some action, and of course the topside scuttle. Meanwhile, Haru skipped 2 camps, went to look for some gank attempts, and picked up 1 scuttle. So all in all, a little bit of advantage here claimed for Tinks in the early, since Haru was not able to get any ganks going.
Yeah, but that's also the problem with AP junglers. Usually, they are bad duelists. If they meet the other jungler, they're forced to just concede and give that pressure, as FGG forces a summoner spell. That could be important, but yeah. It's like Haru can't really do anything. He has to play by Tinks' rules, and he tried to reach Vachi in the mid lane, but it was just too hard. The Victor was playing too safe, and it's not like the Ahri that actually has to step up to take care of the wave. No, Vachi does it from much further away with the Death Ray. Seren can't really follow up without it being just telegraphed, because you can see when he has a 3rd Q, and Haru can't repeat the first blood that he got on game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Also got the first resets coming in now for the mid lane, top lane. If we just do a little 360 round slash of game state, really, we can see Bobista definitely taking care of this top lane in the early game. Juzu has to pull back, obviously, due to this matchup, a little bit with this Scion. But all in all, it seems to be very, very even across the board.
No, it is, as it's expected as well. I feel like the moment both teams start fighting is the moment everything will just descend into chaos and madness. So, yeah, on the top side, you do have a Cassante who is usually very good at early trades, and that is why he was a little bit ahead of his direct opponent in Juzo. But again, it's a Scion. It's not like he can't wave clear under turret. It's very hard to dive a Scion because he has, first of all, 2 lives, and second of all, you can't really stack waves against him. So, again, neutral matchup. The least neutral matchup is this jungle matchup because both junglers want to do completely different things. You have the Maokai, who is all about vision setup and obviously his ganking potential, and you have the Gragas, who is more of a disengaged champion, and yes, in fights he might work the same as Maokai, but he can't really show up as big for his laners, and it's up to Saren, Juzo, and Holy Phoenix to actually make things happen for themselves if they want to accelerate. If not, wait for the fights, wait for the big gatherings around the objectives, and try to create your own advantages.
Exactly, but who also can help you with creating these advantages, that are the supports, right? And we see, once again, Supermassive, same as game 1, a lot of presence from both jungle and mid lane. And support towards this mid lane. And all in all, Vision Line already a topic, as FGG and Farfetch were looking for a little bit of an advantage and a little bit of vision, and now we have a Drake fight coming up, almost. Haru going forward with the flash, and the lightning crash comes through as well. Fate Seal completely annihilating that Jinx. Danny down for the count. First blood, Supermassive.
Being very explosive as predicted, and Holy Phoenix over the wall hits the W right at the tip of Danny in that situation, and that's Jinx dead. That's the kill that I mentioned could change literally everything for either of these marksmen, and the moment Holy Phoenix gets it, Supermassive finally have 1, a lane to play around that isn't exactly conditional, and 2, a way to guarantee that this Jinx never takes off with the tempo she's losing from this death. So it's just a great start overall for the Turkish team. It just feels like they had the setup, and eSuba just shouldn't have been there in the first place. Because
just look at this collapse. Saren coming in from the side, and you know Holy Phoenix can just jump in. It's such an easy engage for Supermassive here.
But like, Holy Phoenix, he was under his turret, right? He was catching the wave under his turret, so eSuba just think, okay, he's never gonna be here.
It's still a Zeri.
Yeah, exactly. She cleared the wave lightning fast, pun not intended, and she just runs into the team fight and completely takes over with the damage from the Gragas, which is also very high at this point. And of course, Saren is just the cherry on top.
Cherry on top would have been the Herald for Supermassive after this first Mountain Drake picked up, but that one goes once again into eSuba's pocket, so they are still very much on the task of having answers. And this Herald could play a massive role, and we talked in draft about it a little bit, right? If you can get this Victor ahead a little bit early, for example, that is a massive boon for Warshi for the next few minutes, but also you could move towards bot lane, where Danny now is a kill behind in this previously very even matchup. So it's a bit of a tough call for eSuba to make, and you need to set this Herald play up properly.
Yeah, you do, and if last game, I felt like they had no chance of making that Herald work, and that's actually what happened. They put it in bot lane, it died before it could even hit the turret. I feel like this game they do have those options. They can get Varchi ahead, they can compensate for Danny's death earlier, but still, Supermassive are just in a place where they are just finally getting ahead individually. Especially because of the kill on Holy Phoenix, as we can see. Danny and FGG are never going to have the push at this point. In the mid lane, it's still a Yone versus a control mage. Yes, Vachi has the range, but Saren can constantly just threaten an all-in and make sure he can also have the push. And when that's the case, I don't think there's any place Tinks can go without Supermassive being ready to challenge.
And that is the big thing. Tings on this Maokai, he needs his team. He's not really on a champion that can make solo plays happen, as you already mentioned, right? Both of these AP junglers, not necessarily the greatest duelists. The Gragas has a lot more burst damage once you get to some items in some late game. But first, we gotta talk about this bot lane play once again coming up. Supermassive just with crisp rotations from the whole team.
Honestly, as long as they know where Tinks is and they force skirmishes wherever the enemy jungler is, they're safe. They know the Herald cannot be put down. They know that they're stronger at this point as long as the Zeri is there. So Tinks just wastes his time, tries to protect his bot lane when a dive realistically never had to happen, and he just loses more and more tempo with each reset. In any case, Tinks doesn't really want to keep hitting this bot side. He won't be able to do anything against Holy Phoenix, and maybe trying to open that mid turret can change the perspective a little bit, can give eSuba the space that they need to maybe contest for the second win.
Yeah. I'd love to talk a little bit about gold differences here for now, but honestly, it's a 400 gold advantage, and most of that is going to be sitting in the pockets of Holy Phoenix. You have a little bit of an advantage here for Bobista in the top lane, where really nothing has been happening over the course of this game so far, but it's Cassandra versus Sion. Like, what do you even care about this lane until the 25th minute when they come join the teamfight, right?
Yeah, tanks are only exciting in the top lane when they're playing against stuff other than tanks, because if it's a tank v tank, they can't interact, they can't do anything. Even if they have damage, they can't really make it work. Yep. But if it's a tank versus something else, tanks can burst, tanks can be assassins, and that's when we see like the famous Born solo kills and stuff like that. But yeah, Cassandra versus Sion, not very exciting.
I mean, it has a little bit something of the good old throwbacks to, I don't even remember what it was, Season 3, Season 4, wet noodle top lane fights 24/7.
Oh yeah.
You had Maokai Mundo versus Maokai versus Mundo and all that crazy shenanigans, but I'm so glad we're not that deep into a meta stalemate than back then. Because, well, quite honestly, this meta is anything but boring. We get some crazy fights, and especially teams with good map movement, with good playmaking, like Supermassive, once again setting up for an insane bot lane gank over the wall with the blast cones right into the arms of FGG, but Danny has the chompers ready. So Holy Phoenix is gonna pick up some massive platings, and this dragon is free for the pickings.
That's still something that Jinx does so well that not many AD carries can actually do, which is the disengage with the Flame Chompers. She can cover those kinds of choke points so well against any dashes whatsoever, and she's like a mini Talia in this bot lane, while also dishing out massive amounts of damage. So the dive doesn't happen. Supermassive still get the prio, they still want the Drake, but Tinks is there to respond.
Yeah, and what I also love is the fact that they pulled Juzu down to the bot lane for this fight attempt. They didn't make anything happen, so he bases, pods back top lane, is there in time to catch the wave. Problem now is, though, Bobista roaming bot. This is going to be a 5v4 that eSuba can take to pick up the second dragon. It's a Hextech Drake, and that's one you definitely want to have. Saren looking for a little bit of an attempt with the Tethered Soul right back into the arms of Bobista. Dragon picked up by eSuba, and teams part ways without a fight.
Yeah, Supermassive kind of hesitated while pulling the trigger. Holy Phoenix just wasn't around for as long as they would want him to. Saren wasted his E a bit too early, and the moment he doesn't have that cooldown, it's just so much harder for the Yone to not get punished when he goes in. So eSuba take the opportunity to actually get over the Drake, while Saren actually tried to get Varshy in this situation, and honestly, it's like Supermassive should have been explosive, they should have gotten the play, but eSuba didn't let them do it. They just played very, very conservatively, and they slowly pushed the enemies out of the way.
It's kind of a reflection of the mid-game from game one, setting in a little bit early, right? eSuba found some decent fights, made some decent calls, and were actually able to take the game to Supermassive, even though they were down so massively. And the Turkish team now in a little bit of a position where they tone down the aggression a little bit and play it safe while still expanding their leads. In this case, though, second Herald once again going into the pockets of eSuba, and they can make more happen with that after sending that first Herald mid lane.
Yeah, that's another reason why I don't particularly like the Wukong Ben from the side of Supermassive. The Maokai is just getting so much more done And that's honestly the direction I saw eSuba going before the draft was even starting. So the Wukong was never going to be able to do what Tinks is actually being able to do, which is set up vision, which is get control of these objectives and not really let Supermassive walk in without the fear of getting locked down. And yeah, he's doing great. He got the second dragon, he got the second herald. Honestly, he can try to break through this mid lane turret once and for all to actually allow Vachi and Danny to have the setup necessary for a future team fight. Still, it's not that important to accelerate this game because eSuba are gonna have to wait for each other anyways. It's not like setting up vision right now or playing side lanes right now is gonna benefit them. They just have to gain time, they just have to wait anyways, so might as well do it with the most safety possible.
And well, time is ticking. Items are slowly but surely coming in. Double shield bow picked up by Seren and Holy Phoenix. You have the Leandris over on Warshi. You have a Kraken Slayer completed for Danny's Jinx. So all in all, the first item spikes definitely coming through. And this is probably a point where we need to start talking a little bit about the power spikes for both of these teams. As Yuzu comes in with a massive engage, finds the damage, but the Zeri is blown to pieces. And here comes Bobista looking for the follow-up. eSuba just steamrolled the fight with a beautiful pick on the ADC, and with the Herald, this turret is bound to die. No, Seren for the re-engage! Fate's call on 3 people, and the re-engage is through! Beautiful pick onto Warshi. Tings forced out as well. Supermassive, show them who is boss on this mid lane.
Supermassive did not want to concede that fight just yet, even though they lost Holy Phoenix. Seren still finds the opening. He still shows why he prioritizes the Yone in this situation, and eSuba do get the Herald Crash. They end up not getting the actual turret, which obviously is going to die sooner or later, but it feels like their swing could have been much bigger. Tinks executed that so well. He dodged the unstoppable onslaught with his own W by going invulnerable, and it was just so beautiful to see the way he created space with the ultimate as well, but it just felt like eSuba didn't have any options the moment that first engage happened from Supermassive. And again, Supermassive shouldn't be doing this so liberally because eSuba have counter engage, right? It's the Maokai, it's the Rakan, even the Victor. They can create space very easily, so Supermassive should use their cooldowns maybe a bit less. I mean, like one at a time instead of all at the same time. And because of that, they got punished. But it's not like eSuba should have went so far ahead after they got that first kill. They should have taken what they got. They're like, okay, Holy Phoenix is dead. Let's go back to base, reset, buy our items. They didn't have to try to go for that mid-turn.
Yeah, a little bit of a staggered flow of the fight will definitely suit you with either of these comps almost, honestly. But on the other side, with these picks and of course the team fighting we just saw, you can see why eSuba is one of the most dominant teams in their respective region. And here, once again, comes the terrain. Juzu going in hard, and they find Tings, this Maokai almost blown to pieces, but he's still alive, still kicking. Fate sealed into the backline once again, and down goes Seren on the way out. Holy Phoenix with a lightning crash trying to make something work, and everyone on eSuba's side is low. They just need to find the connection, but FGG looking for a flank position. Holy Phoenix needs to pull back. Washi has some good poke landing here on the Victor, and Holy Phoenix walks right into the arms of the Rakan. The lifesteal is gonna save him for the moment, but this dragon is still underway. Haru looking for a steal, but eSuba once again, they win the fight with only 1 kill, and they will pick up their second dragon of the game.
It's so hard to actually force fights from the side of Supermassive. That's what I said, that execution just needs to be absolutely perfect, and it just wasn't. Yes, you get the Scion coming in, but again, Tinks just buys so much time for his team. Supermassive, they have 3 members that have to just go through that little gap in between the branches, and Seren just takes too much damage while he dives into the backline. I don't think he even wanted to do that in that situation. But still, there's a little caveat. Holy Phoenix is very strong, and he showed that. But if he doesn't get the chance to actually hit his enemies, it just feels like eSuba are more confident.
Exactly. In the meantime, Danny picking up 2 kills as well, so That's the only kills eSuba got, and they are exactly on the champion that you need them on to come back in this game. Or actually, I shouldn't be talking about a comeback because they are down in gold a little bit, but the last few fights have been going their way almost completely.
Yeah. Oh no, eSuba are dominating.
Oh, the cast! Woohoo! Let's go! Warshi gets blown up. What a play here by Supermassive. We were talking about picks for eSuba in game 1. It's picks for Supermassive in game 2, and they make that work. Tier 1 mid lane secured.
And that's what I said when I saw the high break areas. Like, yes, they're very good. They scale great, but they're so immobile. This Jinx, if she can't set up the Flame Chompers, she's probably dead. This Victor, if he can't see where the enemies are coming from, he's most likely dead, and that's just what happened. Haru, very, very strong in this Gragas. He gets such a good explosive cast in. Those are very hard to hit. And of course, the follow-up from Farfetch, it's just so easy to actually perform from the moment that Haru actually isolates the carry on the other side. So, eSuba need to be careful face-checking those kinds of pushes.
Indeed, it's not going to get better from here on out, and once you lose someone, the next team fight could be starting quite soon, because you can pressure so hard if you have the numbers advantage. And once again, Juzu looking for an engage. I love these long-range wind-up Sion ults, man.
He's just like trying to scare the enemies off, because there's no bigger jumps. I mean, now there's the Fiddlesticks rework. Now, I say now as if it wasn't like 5 years ago, but now there's the Fiddlesticks rework. But besides that, Sion Ultimate is a big jump scare.
Cask only kicks Danny further out. Harry was looking for that engage and almost got it. Didn't want to pull the trigger underneath the turret though.
I mean, it makes sense. It's very hard for Supermassive to do anything there. Oh, Farfetch.
Yep, Tinks is going in hard, looking for some plays, and he finds Farfetch. The Annie is down, all out over the wall. Holy Phoenix down for the count. Haru is the next target on the menu, and this Gragas is slowed up and knocked out. Double kill for Warshi as eSuba find a massive fight off the back of Supermassive basing.
What a disaster. Supermassive were trying to buy time. They should have had the Sion in the side lane. They should have used the time they had with the Yone there too, but they end up just losing everything.
It's insane. Wait. And Baron. I was looking at my stats for just a second, and it almost went completely south. Never mind. Izu was trying to go for it. But yeah, let's see this engage once again.
Yeah, this engage was just perfect because Farfetch, it doesn't matter if you have flash, you're just completely dead. You're an Annie. And that all out was so beautiful because Tinks also followed it up with the Twisted Advance, so he went all the way through the wall. So even if Holy Phoenix tried to escape right after the all out, Tinks was gonna be there to make sure he didn't. And Supermassive, again, they are supposed to be the ones pulling the trigger. If they get pulled the trigger on, they can't really do anything about it. They don't have the disengage. They don't have the ways to create space that eSuba do. So in a fraction of a second, eSuba get the engage, they get the 3 kills, they get the Baron, and Supermassive just need to rethink their strategies. They need to probably start splitting the map, probably start playing the 1-3-1, because team fighting seems too hard at this point.
Oh, they find an engage onto the Maokai, and this time around, Tinks, he's still alive, and the Chaos Storm creates a massive space. Oh, the Fate Seal coming in hard. Wow. Beautiful flank from Saren, and that's gonna blow the fight wide open. Holy Phoenix a little bit far forward, but gets to flash out over the wall. eSuba still super dangerous, trying to pick things off, and Saren one step too far in. Danny goes excited, and now the Jinx is just gonna clean house. Massive shields to shred through, but finally Sion goes down. The follow-up is there, and everyone falls. eSuba make a massive comeback in this series.
eSuba take advantage of the enemy's momentum this time around. Supermassive get completely blown out of the water, and Holy Phoenix, he tries to buy time, he tries to deal the damage. Saren, what a great ultimate in that backline, but nothing makes a difference in the end. They should be bracing themselves. They shouldn't be trying to pick off the enemies. Tinks has a Radiant Virtue. The moment he starts to disengage is the moment he knows he's gonna live basically forever at that point, and Supermassive just didn't respect it. And now at this point, they need to wait for the Baron to lie down and fight for the soul.
And for Supermassive, it is not getting easier. You have a Jinx about to hit 3 items. Holy Phoenix still working on his 3rd as well. The armor pen almost done. But they are struggling so hard to deal with Tinks on the front line. This Maokai pick coming up insanely huge for eSuba. And with the Anathemas picked up by Tinks as well, it's gonna get even harder to burst through this engage that he is providing.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he just chose the Zeri in that situation, and not only
probably too
is the Zeri gonna have much bigger difficulty running through this full tank Maokai, but also she's gonna stay stunned or rooted, rather, for much longer because she loses tenacity.
What I would love to see? Farfetch going for a Mikael's as soon as he can.
Yeah, I mean, he could, but again, a lot of the CC coming from eSuba is also very hard to make kills from. But yeah, there's just a lot of CC threats. Not only would that Mikhails be necessary, but also QSS maybe. It just feels like no matter what Holy Phoenix does, he's gonna get CC'd. So I don't think getting out of it is enough for him to actually survive. But yeah, that would be a great purchase alongside the cleanse from Holy Phoenix, and we'll see if they actually do that. Honestly, at this point, eSuba don't really need to care about that CC, as I said. And Danny is just at 2.5 items, and this Jinx is just on another level.
Exactly, and I mean, it's not just the Maokai in the front line, right? It's Bobista as well, this Cassante. Although he hasn't been very flashy in this whole game, he's still playing a very, very solid match. 3-0-4. Massive stacks of armor with the Frozen Heart in his inventory as well, and he is just so incredibly disruptive. All in all, it really comes down to Supermassive finding the right conditions for a fight, and I will honestly just say that is really engage happening on their side and not getting engaged on.
Yeah, but Supermassive get, like, outscaled. It's not like they have an ease to make things happen at this point. Again, the disengage from the other side was already hard enough to deal with, but from the moment you just lose your gas and your acceleration, it's just like, what else can you do? Holy Phoenix, he's just a Zeri, he's gonna get outranged by the Jinx 100 times out of 100. It's like Danny is always gonna be the bigger threat unless the Zeri magically creates a bubble where she can actually deal damage. Saren, he needs to sacrifice so much, and he just gets bursted down. Like, Supermassive are running out of options, and they need to think fast.
But that's an important point, right? Because Saren, I think in the last 2 fights, has found an ultimate into the backline every single time. And I feel like if Supermassive can continue that streak of just honestly really good flanks from Saren, the team fights can definitely go their way. And we were talking about the mid-game in Game 1, right? eSuba is incredible in this mid-game. And now they are leveraging this potential to just get ahead. They are on soul point. They already picked up 1 Baron. They could pick up a 2nd. They are basically even in items here on their key carries, if not even ahead. So Supermassive, they need to find some more items. They need to find the late-game team fights they've shown they can pull off in Game 1.
They do, but it's all about execution at this point, and eSuba just seems to get the better out of the Turkish team at all points, so it's gonna take a lot from Holy Phoenix and Saren to actually turn this around, and if the Saren flanks have been good so far, but not enough to turn things around, I think that's just gonna be even more difficult as the game progresses.
Yeah, now we're basically looking at a little bit of a breaking point here as both teams are eyeing up this mid lane. Dragon life in 30, Baron already up on the table. I'm curious if Supermassive might look for a trade, go for rush that Baron while eSuba is clearing out the Dragon Soul. Seen that attempt already in Game 1 a little bit, but for now, We continue the standoff. We're running down mid lane. Holy Phoenix looking for an engage. Saren very far off to the side. Now walking away to look for a flank angle. But Supermassive not in a great position to start a fight off.
Not at all, and trading Baron for Ocean Soul is not great because they can't finish the game with this Baron, which means eSuba are always going to have the permanent buff, and again, they're not even trying to contest, they're going to go for the flip, and this could go so wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, but this Baron is also gonna melt. The question is, can Tings and Danny get here in time? Supermassive will definitely be able to force a fight here off the back of this. And look at Haru on the flank. This is exactly the setup Supermassive needs, but the question is, can they pull it out? Are they just gonna get whacked with the wallet and the newly acclaimed Ocean Soul? Now, eSuba, find the timing. FGG in the backline, double knock up on the carries, goes through with the quickness on every single one. The flank from Farfetch also taken out. Danny gets stunned up, but immediately cleanses it and shreds through the Turkish team. Everyone gets killed off, and Supermassive lose the fight.
I am not sure what Haru was trying to do there, eSuba. The moment they see the jungler, they go into the Baron, and they might get Haru too.
Yep, they're just running him down. That's a dead Gragas if I've ever seen one. The Death Ray connects, and the Aerie does the rest. Second Baron picked up, eSuba looking for the equalizer in this series.
Yes, they are looking very likely at this point. Supermassive. They had to find some way to turn this around. A flank was definitely one of the ways to do so, but I feel like it was Saren's job to be there. They had no responsibility to burst down the Baron the moment your jungler isn't there. You want to be as slow as possible. So having your two biggest bursts and biggest DPS inside that pit doesn't make much sense for what you're trying to accomplish. eSuba were able to read the situation, and I don't think they were expecting to see Haru there. They were expecting to see Saren, but the moment they see the jungler, they're just like, what are these guys doing? We could just run in, take the Baron and the team fight.
Yeah. I was a little bit worried when they left this area open for red side, and after that early game, my worries were a little bit confirmed, but the comeback from eSuba, absolutely incredible, and this shows you that this team has been in this very spot so many times. As we've mentioned before, they've not missed EMEA Masters once since spring 2019. But they've also not made it out of play-ins, and now after this game they could be closer than in a while. So, Supermassive, they need to hold down the fort to be able to win this game, and I think outside of this Baron buff, sieging this comp with the Zeri might get very difficult, and Juzu is looking for an engage. They found Tink's massive burst, but the Maokai flashes out. Nice Shurelias to give him some speed to get out, and Holy Phoenix is on the chase, and they're running them down mid lane. Meanwhile, Bobista in the bot lane doesn't have TP, so Supermassive on an advantage right now.
This was a very well thought engage because Supermassive knew that Bobista was teleporting to the bot lane, so they were like, okay, we have numbers advantage, and we can also cancel a few recalls in the meantime. But they end up only forcing Tinks' flash, and Supermassive grasping at straws at this point. They don't know how to pinpoint which member of eSuba is actually easy to kill, and Danny and Varshi, they just have so much range that it makes it impossible and very unlikely for them to actually be affected by any engage Supermassive throw at them.
I mean, straws are pretty practical if you want to get to that drink that you're getting served with your meal, right? And for the moment, well, if you can grab one, you can take a sip. Other than that, you're just going to get slapped in the attempt. Now eSuba regrouped, kind of reformed up here in this bot lane. They take down the tier 2. We're looking for a little bit of a clear of this inhibitor turret, and this might just go down in a second. Look at all these cannon minion shots going in, and they find the engage onto Juzu. Farfetch with a beautiful Tibbers, and Varshi is stunned up quite nicely still. Juzu alive, finally falling. The Scion is pretty tanky after all. Bobista dancing and dipping, bobbing and weaving back and forth, and now Danny is unlocked. Goes the Jinx, double kill already. He is shredding through everyone. Make that a triple, looking for the quadra onto Farfetch, and eSuba come back with a massive bang and a pentakill for Danny.
It's a pentakill for Danny with one less N than the one in the LCS, but nonetheless just as powerful. His Jinx takes over the match. It was the Ocean Soul, it was the pentakill, and honestly, this series couldn't be more exciting.